Imagine a world where your very name, your entire identity, is not just a label, but a burden, a constant, searing reminder of unspeakable horrors. For a young man named Max Eisenhardt, this was not a hypothetical thought, but a grim reality forged in the terrifying crucible of the Holocaust. His transformation, his very reinvention, into Erik Magnus Lehnsherr was not merely a change of address on a passport. It was a profound, strategic act of survival, a phoenix rising from the ashes of a shattered life, determined to never again be a victim. Max Eisenhardt was a name synonymous with a past he wished to transcend, a past that had robbed him of everything and everyone he knew. The camps, the unfathomable cruelty, the systematic dehumanization, these experiences had burned an indelible mark on his soul. To carry the name Max Eisenhardt into a new world would be to carry the weight of that trauma openly, a beacon for further pain, a vulnerability he could no longer afford. He needed to shed that skin, to forge an identity that was both a shield and a statement that he was no longer the boy who was helpless, but a man who would control his destiny, and perhaps the destiny of others. And so, Erik Lehnsherr was born. This new name, carefully chosen, carried a weight and an aura of its own. It was a name that could blend into the post-war landscape, a name that offered a sliver of anonymity and perhaps a new beginning. But the depths of this identity were far more intricate than just a new moniker. For many years, there was a widespread belief, even among those close to him, that the name Erik Lehnsherr signified a Sinti Romani heritage. This belief added incredibly rich layers to his already complex backstory. Consider for a moment the profound implications of this perceived Sinti Romani identity. The Sinti and Romani people, like the Jewish people, were also targets of the Nazi regime, subjected to horrific persecution and systematic extermination. If Erik Lehnsherr were indeed Sinti Romani, it would mean he was carrying the scars of not just one, but two deeply persecuted communities. This added a tragic dimension to his character, further solidifying his status as an embodiment of the era's darkest prejudices. It painted a picture of a man forged in the fires of compound trauma, a universal figure of suffering and resilience. This initial understanding deepened the mystery surrounding him, making his anger and his commitment to mutant survival even more understandable, born from a double legacy of oppression. It resonated with the idea that his fight was not just for mutants, but for all marginalized groups who had been targeted for simply existing. This confusion, this initial misdirection about his heritage, wasn't accidental in a narrative sense. It deepened the emotional resonance of his character before his Jewish background was definitively confirmed. It allowed the character to carry the weight of multiple historical persecutions, making his struggle for survival and self-reinvention feel all the more universal, all the more desperate. It underscored his unwavering conviction that if humanity could commit such atrocities against one group, they could and would do it again, especially to a new other, like mutants. This confusion, this initial misdirection about his heritage, wasn't accidental in a narrative sense. It deepened the emotional resonance of his character before his Jewish background was definitively confirmed. It allowed the character to carry the weight of multiple historical persecutions, making his struggle for survival and self-reinvention feel all the more universal, all the more desperate. It underscored his unwavering conviction that if humanity could commit such atrocities against one group, they could and would do it again, especially to a new other, like mutants. This confusion, this initial misdirection about his heritage, wasn't accidental in a narrative sense. It deepened the emotional resonance of his character before his Jewish background was definitively confirmed. It allowed the character to carry the weight of multiple historical persecutions, making his struggle for survival and self-reinvention all the more universal, all the more desperate. It underscored his unwavering conviction that if humanity could commit such atrocities against one group, they could and would do it again, especially to a new other, like mutants. When his Jewish heritage was later definitively confirmed, it didn't diminish the complexity or the tragedy of his story. Instead, it recontextualized everything. It clarified the specific crucible from which his power, his pain, and his extreme ideology had emerged. It grounded his personal trauma in a very specific historical event, making his motivations even more acutely personal, even more heartbreakingly real. The name Erik Lehnsherr then became not just an alias, but a symbolic fortress. It allowed Max Eisenhardt to build a new life, to operate with a new purpose, unburdened by the immediate recognition of his past, even as that past informed every decision he made. His transformation into Erik Lehnsherr was a testament to the human spirit's capacity for reinvention, but also a stark reminder of the indelible marks left by trauma. It was a strategic retreat into a new persona, a desperate bid to control his narrative in a world that had once stripped him of all agency. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a force, a symbol, a protector, born from the ashes of a forgotten name, yet forever tethered to the pain of Max Eisenhardt. This journey, from a boy named Max to the formidable Erik Lehnsherr, speaks volumes about the ways we cope with unimaginable pain, the identities we forge to survive, and the enduring scars that shape who we become. It's a story about the profound power of self-reinvention, not as an escape from the past, but as a way to carry its lessons into a future where one can finally stand unbowed. We've only just scratched the surface of the layers woven into Erik Lehnsherr's identity. What do you find most compelling about this strategic transformation? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. If you found this discussion insightful, consider following for more explorations into the rich tapestry of character and narrative. Your engagement helps us continue these thoughtful journeys together.